Story 1. The Office. I work for the state in children's services, and sometimes my job requires me to work late into the night. Sometimes just to wait for a fax or a phone call, but I have to be there. When I first started working here, I was told that this building was haunted, and not to be surprised if I hear things at night. Of course, me being the way I am, I thought this was pretty cool, until I experienced something firsthand. One night, I was working pretty late, but I wasn't nervous because 2 other people were in the building with me. I heard the first leave at around 6:30, but the other one was still there. I kept hearing her walk up and down the hall, going into the copy room. I called out to her a few times, but she didn't answer, so I figured she was in the bathroom. I finally left work at around 10:30. After listening to my coworker pace the halls for hours, I was kind of surprised not to see her anywhere when I came out of my office, but again, I figured she must have went to the bathroom. Now, the reason I knew who it was is because I had taken a break and gone outside for a cigarette, and I saw her car out back, right in the spot where she always parks. The next day, I had to work late again, and I kept hearing someone pace the halls. This time I stepped out to see another coworker. He was surprised and said that he had kept hearing things, so he just figured that someone else was there. He asked why I kept using the bathroom on the other side of the hall when I had my own. I hadn't gone to the bathroom. No one else was in the building but us. Anyway, the next day, we were up front laughing about scaring each other the night before, and I started to tell everyone about how the other coworker had paced the halls for so long 2 nights earlier. She got this strange look on her face, and she said she hadn't been there. I told her I knew it had been her because her car was out back. She informed me that she had left her car at work and gone home with her sister. She hadn't picked her car up until midnight that night. No one else had been there but me. I had been alone in the building. So what did I hear? And what did my other coworker hear the night before? I've had to work several nights since then, and I always hear someone walking the halls, even when I know I'm the only one in the building. I recently found out that this office used to be a doctor's office. I can't help but wonder if something unfortunate had happened to someone here, or if someone was just working late right along with me. Story 2. The Vicar. My family and I had moved to Scotland, and for a few months we lived in chalets. Me and my older sister shared one, all on our own. A few weeks after we moved in, we began to feel uncomfortable, and felt as if we were being watched while we were there. It was a very threatening feeling. We told our parents, and they said it was just because we were next to a graveyard. A few weeks later, I was lying in my bed, with the door open, when a tall, dark figure stood leaning over me. I didn't think at that particular moment, but it wasn't until my sister asked me if I felt somebody was in the room with me the previous night. We started talking, and she too had felt like someone was leaning over her. I then started to sleep in my sister's room, and the figure didn't return, so I moved back to my own room. But then again, the figure returned. This time it was kneeling beside me. The next morning I told my sister, and again, she too had felt the presence of a tall man. Our dad told us that the large house next to us had been the vicar's house. One night, my mom came in, and she was holding 2 necklaces with crosses on them. Me and my sister were not religious at the time, and our mom thought that it had something to do with that. So we went to bed holding the crosses. That night, it was very uncomfortable in both rooms. After that, we haven't felt the presence of the tall man. The figure that visited did so on a few occasions. Each time, it felt as though it was getting closer and angrier. When the crosses were given to us that night, the figure seemed to be very angry. Its face was literally pressed into mine, and it felt as if he was gritting his teeth at me. My sister also had this very uncomfortable, menacing figure who was also pressed into her face. All you could do was hide under your quilt, closing your eyes really tight, and hope you could fall asleep quick. Since that last visit, nothing has returned. We have since moved, and nothing has ever happened since. We don't use the crosses anymore either. Other things that we didn't think of at the time as being connected, we do think of them now. Such as the chalet that my mom and dad were in. Although it was the same, it had a different feeling. Because my mom and dad's chalet was always comfortable and cozy feeling. Ours didn't feel that way. Whether it was because there was just me and my sister alone in there, and it was our overactive imaginations, or not, we don't know. Although, Mom and Dad's chalet, there was only ever one more person over there. From the moment we stepped into the chalet, it was always cold, even with all the heaters on. Plus, there was often a bad smell wafting around, like rotting animal, that was only ever in my bedroom. Also, in my room, there was a lot of strange noises, scratching sounds, as if someone were sketching or writing. The noise was accompanied by the presence of a smaller female presence. My sister also felt this smaller presence, but not the noise. She was not menacing in nature. She was very quiet and felt like she was an older spirit. It was strange because we didn't actually see anything. Yet you get so much of these feelings. The gender, the age, the emotion. Previous to this experience, my sister had not believed in ghosts. But she has since changed her mind. As for myself, I've always believed. And I will always believe. Story 3. The Wife. Back in the early 90s, my mother had went on a cruise, and she met a man who lived in Oregon. He invited her to his place, and naturally, I was a bit skeptical about this. They had only known each other for 7 days. So myself, my husband, and my infant child decided that we would go along with her, just in case this guy decided to be a murderer or something. This man lived in a house on top of a mountain, and naturally in the winter months it gets snowy and icy. His wife had driven down the mountain, and her car had went off the road into a tree and killed her in the winter, and that's tragic. That gives you a little bit of background to his life and his story. The first day of arriving, I went downstairs to take a shower. My husband and my mom's new boyfriend had left to go to the grocery store. This left my mom, myself, and my 2-month-old baby in the house. The shower I was using had apparently been his deceased wife's favorite shower in the house. I didn't know this at the time. I went in and started to take my shower, when all of a sudden someone knocked on the bathroom door. 3 knocks to be exact. I yelled at my mom, asking her what she needed, and no one answered. I continued taking my shower, and then it happened again. 3 more sharp knocks. I got out of the shower and yelled upstairs, asking what she needed. She had no clue what I was talking about. She had never went downstairs. I made her and the baby come downstairs and wait while I finished my shower. She asked me what had happened, so I told her, and she thought I was making it all up. After we had left, she continued to stay and took many showers downstairs in that bathroom. But nothing happened to her. My thought has always been that the person knocking on the bathroom door that day was his deceased wife's spirit, wondering why another female was using her bathroom. But I guess she's gotten used to it, and maybe she approves of my mom. Story 4. The Phantom House. I grew up in Sacramento. I was living in some apartments with my mom and my sister. One day, me and a bunch of the other kids in the neighborhood decided that we were going to go explore the field that was right next to the apartments. We walked down to the edge of the field and found a well-worn trail in the grass that went off into some oak trees that were scattered around the side of the field. We wandered down the trail to see where it went, and as we made our way down, we got this uneasy feeling that came over all of us. We didn't know why. The trail suddenly opened up into a grassy area with an old, dilapidated house sitting in the middle of it. The house hadn't seen a drop of paint in years, and the front porch was sagging. It looked like it could fall apart any moment. There was an old rocking chair sitting on the porch that looked as old and tired as the house. There was only an old screen door on the front door, and the rest of the windows had some dark screens in them. We dared each other to go and knock on the door and see if anyone lived there, but decided to play somewhere else instead. A few days later, we decided to go down and look at the old house again. This time we were going to knock on the door. We were brave enough. We walked down the trail, and when it opened up into the grassy area, we couldn't believe what we saw. The house was gone. We looked all over the place and we couldn't find anything. There wasn't a trace that anything had ever sat there. 6 or 7 of us had all saw that house. We knew it was in our imagination. And now it was just gone. Where did it go? Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the stories today. If you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Bye.